This news update is brought to you by
This is the 7 a.m. Barbados Today update for Wednesday, September the 3rd, 2014. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. A pleasant good morning to you. Prime Minister Fruendel Stuart has called for the urgent establishment of a special window within the Global Environment Fund, or GEF, to assist Barbados and other small island developing states, also known as SIDS. Addressing the World Environment Conference in Samoa in the Pacific yesterday, Prime Minister Stuart expressed concern that even after more than 2 decades of reference to SIDS, no specialized financial assistance program has been put in place.
I urge the CEO and Chairman and the GEF itself to consider the modalities for establishing such a mechanism. I am aware of the efforts being made by both the UNDP and the World Bank for establishing SIDS-specific funds. While we welcome these initiatives, we remind that to be effective, all SIDS without exception should be able to access these resources, for once a SIDS, always a SIDS.
Stuart also placed on record this country's feelings about the slow pace of implementation of decisions agreed to at previous conferences and what the current meeting ought to do to correct this.
Our fear is that if this August gathering does not have the will to attack frontally the unsatisfactory pace of implementation of the Barbados Program of Action and the Mauritius Strategy for the further implementation, the execution of many elements of the Samoa pathway will be cheated of fulfillment. I therefore call on the United Nations Secretary General and the international community to give serious consideration to this proposal. Barbados stands ready to work with you on this most important endeavor and would gladly serve as a hub for inter- and intra-regional SIDS cooperation and collaboration.
In other news now, in another 5 hours, the nation will pause for 1 minute on the 4th anniversary of the horrific Campus Trendz tragedy. Family members, friends, and Barbadians generally are expected to assemble in National Heroes Square, where they will reflect on the tragic death of 6 young women who perished in the blaze, as well as all other victims of violent crimes in Barbados over the past 12 months. In a message marking the occasion, Acting Prime Minister Richard Seeley says the country must find new ways to stop rising violence. He says the situation is worrying and it's time to unearth the root causes of the problem and deal with them head-on. Seeley calls on all stakeholders to work together to find solutions to the problem, which he warns can erode the country's positive image.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Get your sun power.
In regional news now, West Kingston victims of the infamous May 2010 operation by the Jamaica security forces will receive more than $200 million in compensation. That's if the Attorney General accepts the latest claims for damages suffered by residents and submitted to the Office of the Public Defender. The categories of complaints include allegations of extrajudicial killings, missing or disappearance of persons, personal injury, battery and assault, detention, malicious damage to real property, loss or malicious destruction of personal property, and looting or larceny. Acting Public Defender Matondo Mokulu says he will refer the claims to the AG by month end as the start of the inquiry into the operation approaches. Mokulu says that more than 1,000 residents from various communities in West Kingston were involved in its survey for compensation. And finally, on the global front, the terrorist Islamic State has struck again. In its latest tragic move, the ISIS has released a video which purports to show the beheading of U.S. journalist Steven Sotloff by the militants who've been holding him hostage. 31-year-old Sotloff disappeared in Syria in 2013. He appeared at the end of a video last month which showed fellow U.S. journalist James Foley being killed. A militant in the latest video also threatens to kill a British hostage. White House spokesman Josh Earnest says U.S. officials are checking the reports.
This is something that the administration has obviously been watching very carefully since this threat against Mr. Sotloff's life was originally made a few weeks ago. Our thoughts and prayers, first and foremost, are with Mr. Sotloff and Mr. Sotloff's family and those who worked with him. The United States, as you know, has dedicated significant time and resources to trying and rescue Mr. Sotloff. I'm not in a position to confirm the authenticity of that video or the reports at this point, obviously, since I just walked out here. But this is, if there's a video that has been released, it is something that will be analyzed very carefully by the U.S. government and our intelligence officials to determine its authenticity.
And on that note, we come to the end of today's 7 a.m. Barbados Today update. You can join us again at noon. But in the meantime, log on to www.barbadostoday.bb, subscribe to our e-paper and email updates, or like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or Screenplay in supermarkets and gas stations near you to get more news and sports. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a wonderful day.
This news update is brought to you by